Confucius, also referred to as Fuzi in Konghui, born in 551 BC to China. He's arguably one of China's most influential philosophers. He is admired by millions for his intelligence. Born to an unwedded teenage mother, born into poverty, he never forgot those who were suffering. What first begun the path of his philosophical thinking was the idea that everyone should have an education. Confucius's main ideas and beliefs spurred off the idea that everybody has the potential to succeed, and with hard work and determination, anything is possible. He eventually moved forward to teaching about peace, justice, and self-succession. Confucius grew up in a very violent time. However, that's what made him so special and extraordinary. He focused more on his thinking rather than the violence at that time. Confucius believed that with an education, people could grow and open up their minds. Now we're going to present a documentary on Confucius's life and legacy, into why he's so influential and now is comparable to great thinkers such as Aristotle.
Due to Confucius's innovative way of approaching philosophy, he wasn't particularly influenced by individuals, but his experiences and surrounding environment. One nobleman that conveyed ideas that appealed to Confucius was statesman Chen. Socially and politically, the two shared a common outlook, but being his elder, he was able to conduct himself in office the way Confucius had aspired to locally. Chen was aware of Confucius's potential and foresaw greatness on his path. Upon his death, he asked his two grand officers that they entrust his two sons in Confucius. Mingzi, a nobleman in Wu, also took an interest in Confucius. It is noted that he praised Confucius as a descendant of a sage. Confucius admired these men as having been successors in a society that practiced his same ideals. His own thoughts were politically relative in initiating order in Wu. There were very few people who were recorded as confidants of Confucius, though he did have an intimate friend by the name of Zhu Yan. Confucius is known to have dabbled in music and notably studied with music masters Jiang and Chang Hong. Similar to other philosophers that are theologically ahead of their time, they tend to exhibit independent behaviors.
What I'm going to be speaking about is the basis or the reason why Confucius taught his lessons. As mentioned earlier, Confucius is considered to be one of the most influential figures in China. Notably, he concentrated on helping improving ideas concerning the political sciences. Confucius was able to address human core values, which allows his texts and his teachings to transcend throughout the centuries. The Aphorisms of Confucius, or the Analects, is considered to be one of the most influential books because it helped bridge the cultural gap between the ancient Chinese and Western civilization. While the book was originally read in ancient Chinese, they did not put much emphasis on the order, while modern or Western civilization lives in a more time-constricted lifestyle. The modern translation of his works allows readers to achieve a more profound meaning without the unnecessary confusion, due to the fact that the Confucian text is so profound and complex. One Confucian approach to his teaching is the idea that humans should be molded to improve the lives of the people around them. This may include improving the lives of their family members, their community, or their nation. The theme of the aphorisms in the Book of Change promotes the idea that the benefits of the community should come before the benefits of an individual. Confucius took it upon himself to advocate his teachings of his culture through his belief of moral funding was based on social order because of the premise of human virtues. Confucius had expected the people to do the thinking for themselves rather than him do the thinking for them. Confucius believed he was not the author, but rather a messenger of the ancient ways because of the exploits of these three leaders, Yao, Shun, and Yu. Yao and Shun were believed to maintain order in China simply by being overseers. Yu had worked 12 years on creating an irrigation system to prevent a great prehistoric flood on the central plains of China. And also, Yu was the founder of the Shah dynasty. These three men were able to ascend the throne at their own times, simply without the need of violence or using any hereditary rights. For example, in the Analects, it states that ancient kings were able to set up a myriad of realms and be able to associate with their representatives. In response, Confucius said, if people have no faith, then what are they good for? Can a vehicle travel without a link to a source of power? In my opinion, this stance is very logical because how can society function without the support of its citizens?
Confucianism is based on mercy, social order, and fulfillment of responsibilities. An ethical principle used by Confucius was Ren, which expressed love, mercy, and humanity. Confucius believed that there were 5 cardinal relations that were important to follow in life. The first relation was sovereign to subject. The second relationship was father to son. Following that relationship was elder and young brother. The fourth relationship was husband to wife, and the last relationship was friend to friend. Confucianism provided the idea that family is the center of everything. Confucius believed in the order of filial piety. He said that the children were in debt to their parents for the rest of their lives. Confucius was very interested in education and educating others. His 2 branches of teaching were political and social. Confucius believed education was based on diligence and studying rules on proper behavior. He taught from classics and preached that merit gave you the power of hierarchy. Confucius created a school based on merit rather than where your family came from. He stated that imperial bureaucracy is not based on what family you were born into, but how well you test. From this idea, he created state examinations across China. Furthermore, to become a Confucian scholar, the student would have to memorize many classics and take a test on their knowledge of those classics. If the student was chosen, he and his family would be elite with some power and land. China used Confucianism as their way of government, which included a natural hierarchy. The natural hierarchy started with the emperor at the top, the Confucian scholars in the middle, and the peasants at the bottom. Confucianism provided the idea that the emperor was chosen by God from the mandate of heaven. The mandate of heaven explains the hierarchy of heaven at the top, China who is superior, and everyone else at the bottom who is inferior. Successfully, China has been able to succeed for over 2,000 years with Confucian teachings.
Confucius died a very unhappy man. Leading up to his death, his son Zulu died in battle. This was followed by the death of one of his favorite disciples, Yan Hui. This specific incident occurred right upon his return to his home in Lu in 400 BC. Confucius also had to undergo the disappointment of his political views not marinating with those in charge of ruling his state. His political views included the main principle of leading by example. According to Confucius, a leader should be compassionate and treat his subjects with care. At this time, he recognized the overall moral decline of China. What China needed was for their leaders to lead by a positive example. During this period, where the citizens seemed to lack morals whatsoever, even though his teachings did not prove popular at the time, his words ultimately proved to be timeless. Despite the fact that he died thinking he was a failure, his teachings remained the cornerstone of Chinese culture for the past 2,000 years. Many people today still follow Confucius' ideology very closely. Unfortunately, it is very hard to fully and completely understand Confucius' ideas because the Chinese language has changed since Confucius' time. Adding to the difficulties of that, there are no punctuations in the ancient classics. He is considered to be one of the greatest educators of all time, not only in China, but worldwide. In honor of all the ideology Confucius managed to bring himself to create, the Chinese have set up a beautiful and grandeur temples, but more so academic. Thanks to these temples, his ideologies.